Hello and welcome back to the Finding Your Feet podcast, a podcast show dedicated to helping you get closer to your true authentic self by helping you find your feet in life.
Today we have a very special guest. We're talking to Sinead Hegarty, who we've been wanting to speak to for quite some time because she's just so amazing. She's a great light in the self-development space. She does so many different things, such as having like meditation courses, but one of the main things she does is just spread such an incredible light and incredible message across all her social media channels.
Yeah, this might be your first time hearing from Sinead, but I highly doubt it. I feel like most of you guys are going to already know who she is. But yeah, we've been trying to get her on the show for since like last year. We were like, I really want to get Sinead on. So this was amazing to chat to her, and we spoke all about meditation, finding purpose, manifestation, relationships, how to improve your relationships, and just general like really uplifting chat. We were literally like so uplifted and inspired after this conversation. She's just a little ball of sunshine, an absolute joy to chat to. So you're all going to leave this podcast feeling way more high vibe than you might feel right now. So hope you enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you are feeling a little bit stuck on your manifesting journey or anything like that, honestly, just listen to this conversation, hold your vision, and you're going to feel so much better. Okay, so I'd just like to welcome Sinead onto the podcast. We are so happy that you're here to talk to us because, as I just said, we followed your journey for quite a while and we've really been inspired by you in so many different ways. So if you could just start by telling the listeners a little bit about you if they don't know you or if they haven't heard it yet, because I'm sure a lot of them probably have, and just kind of what you do in your journey there. So I do think you have quite an interesting journey as to where you got now, how you got to where you are now. Sorry.
Oh my God, I don't even know how far back we want to go. Where do we want to start with this? Like, there's a lot.
Whatever feels right for you.
Yeah,
I think, you have
I love your story.
Like
right from where it all started, like when you first went traveling and like your heart broke.
That is when the start. That is the start.
Yeah.
So and everyone's always like, and I'm like, I don't know anything before that because I feel like that was the start, and that was like 4 years ago now. It must have been 4 years ago. Yeah. So basically it's probably where it started because my life was in automatic mode at that point, so everything was just like plain sailing up until that point. It was like, oh, you get a job, go to university and get a degree, get a husband, get married, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of like where I was going. And I was like living in London. I was living in Essex at the time, and it was with my current partner, and like love of my life, and like all this, we're gonna get married. And then we were going traveling across the world within these 2 weeks anyway, where all this shit happened. And I just got a text saying that like he had cheated on me by like some girl just texting me randomly. And at that point was just like my world came crashing down, and that was like the first time that it wasn't the first time I ever had like a massive hurdle, but it was the first time that I really, really lost myself. And so I decided to just go by myself. It was 2 weeks later, the flight, and I was like, well, you're not coming. So I went on ahead, and that's when sort of the dark place kind of happened for me, because I ended up being alone and really, really heartbroken without any tools to deal with my own self-love. I think the whole thing really was that I had no relationship with myself. My whole relationship with myself depended on someone else loving me. So I didn't know how to love myself. I felt unworthy. I felt like I wasn't enough. Like I really, really ate away at myself within that year after, with like negative thoughts, to the point where it was just, it was a really, really dark place. And one way I got out of it was like reading and finding out about human behavior and realizing that it's not me, and that it's about values and how people are, and like, you know what I mean? Like I was always enough. It was just the thoughts that were going on in my head. So I went through this whole period of like this really, really dark place, and things that saved me were books, podcasts, like, YouTube videos, motivational speakers, like all these things sort of like saved me. And I started to realize there was like and then I became obsessed with the whole self-development, and I really began to find myself. And then I just went through this whole process of being really skint and like going through the whole traveling alone. I hated men. I didn't want to touch them. Ugh, I hated them. So I think that's when I gave my following, because I was like really hating men, and I was voicing like my disgust, because I couldn't understand. It was so hard for me to understand men, because I was like, this guy was the love of my life and he loved me so much. He was the best boyfriend ever, and he still did it. So it didn't matter how nice somebody was, like I didn't trust them. So I had this big shield over my heart for so long, and it was probably the best thing ever, because I had to build up that defense confidence and that resilience to go out into the world of romance again. So yeah, I went through all that, went really down place, no money. And once you're at that low, when you're at like rock bottom, like it actually says, I'm so dramatic in my journal, like, you know, that I had hit rock bottom. I had like $20 left and I felt alone, heartbroken. I just felt like it was just, there was just nothing for me. I just felt so alone. When I hit that, it was like, you know what, like nothing can get worse right now. So I started shooting and taking risks and just doing everything for me at that point. So yeah, I don't like, that's sort of where it began. And then all the self-development I got into. I was always working over in Australia in the bar, and then left there, went traveling again by myself, and started working on like influencing and like working online, doing a lot of book reviews and stuff like that. So then moved my way up, and then started doing motivational speaking, and then began a business. So the business is called Brave, and it was Brave Retreats, which was taking solo travelers, girls away and getting them to find themselves on retreats. But COVID hit, and the Brave Way became the new thing. So that was an online meditation. Well, it's going to be an online meditation empire, but right now it's an online meditation course. So that's where we are now. And because meditation was one of the things that saved my life as well and made me, I would say like meditation is the reason why I am where I am. And it was the reason why a lot of successful people were where they were. And I knew that. So I began the journey myself and realized, oh, I'm actually not like insane, or I'm not like sick. I used to feel sick because I could never sleep. I used to just think this is normal. I just sleep and I just have anxiety, and that's just like my illness. And when I began meditating and discovering all the stuff, that is when I realized that there is tools out there to help you deal with life's heartaches. And meditation was probably the one that made me calm, made me like have a decent sleep, and everything relies on your sleep, like your day to day if you don't get a good sleep. So yeah, so I don't even like, there's so much to talk about, but I know we could pick and choose something from there.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love your story, and I think that's like what makes you so relatable to like everyone, is that you've been through all the things that like everyone else has been through, like heartache and feeling anxious and like being skint, having no money and feeling like lost, and like you got through it all and then have come out the other side and you're like thriving and like have turned all of that like, you know, seemingly negative situation and pain in such positive, and then every like bit of pain you go through, you turn it into like something helpful for your like audience, like you because you can put yourself in their shoes. So you're so good like on your Instagram and stuff, and on your podcast at like speaking like so clearly, like here's a tool, or this is something I learned in a book, and like this is exactly how it can help you. And I love how much you like share from that, like from your own pain, and how you transformed it and helped so many other people. And obviously like meditation is amazing. So did you start like meditating, like when in your journey did you start meditation? Was it like right away when you started to go traveling? Like when did you actually discover it? Because like we love meditation as well, like we do it every single day, but I think you've got such like a beautiful relationship with it, and I just love like, I want to hear more about meditation, like what it means to you, and more about the Brave Way, and like and like your plans for it, and everything, like why meditation is so important and how it can help other people.
Yeah, so I think that my meditation journey must have started about 3 years ago, 2.5, maybe 3 years ago. I began meditating, and when I started meditating, I started releasing a lot of emotion. Like the tears were coming down my face every day, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" So I started to become really intrigued by the process of it and what was going on, and I wanted to get the best out of it as well. So I started learning about it, and as I started learning about it, I was also um teaching as well. So I did my practitioner, and I started teaching just in person in women's circles. And I wrote the meditations from my soul, and the effect on people, like the emotion being released. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do something with this because I'm meant to do this. But yeah, so there's a thing called emotional detox, especially when you start meditating. So for years and years and years, we are taught, I don't know, in England, you probably don't have it as much as us Irish, but us Irish are not allowed to show any emotion. We're not allowed to cry. We don't hug. We don't kiss. We don't say love you. We can. That's how we all grew up. I'll never even forget, like, like coming home from Australia after 2 years of being away, and mum was like, yeah, I get the bus. Like there's no like hi, like there's no excitement. It's like a typical Irish family to like be like that. So there's a lot of emotions that if you're dealing with things like, I dealt with grief when I was really young, and there was a lot of things. Bear in mind, I didn't deal with it. It just happened, and I never processed it. So when I started meditating, like I started to really process all of these experiences that had happened to me. And then once you get through this emotional detox, you start to begin to reframe everything and for the good. So everything that's happened in your life, you have a lesson. And like my niche in meditation is I help people find themselves by first of all getting them so relaxed and through visuals, because a lot of meditations you can just do transcendental. There's so many different meditations, but mine's is mostly based on finding yourself and finding the answers within. And to get that, you need to have someone really mindful. And what I do is like paint the picture. So every meditation is usually a journey through your senses, like, where you are, what it looks like, what it smells like. It's not just green grass, it's like miraculous, like thriving green grass that you can smell, and you like really get into this present moment. And then I begin to ask the questions. So I begin to ask questions to find, because at the start, so the first start of the start of the course is all about finding yourself and asking the questions, because we always forget to ask for what we want. We say we want this life, and we say we want this and we want that, but we never truly make the order. So to even just ask for purpose is sort of the first thing that we do. We really ask for purpose. We put it out there, and then we wait for guidance through signs. And when you're waiting for those signs and you're open to what the universe is bringing you, like those signs come in, whether you take them or not, it's your decision, because there's a lot of rejection, and a lot of people reject what the universe has given them. So an example of like that would be, say for example, you're like, okay, I'm asking for a purpose, and you're in your normal job, and you're starting to feel shitty going to your job. You're starting to feel anxious, really hate it. You hate walking into the thing. Like that's your emotions arising to tell you something. And if you're just going to keep rejecting it and rejecting it, then you're just rejecting. You asked for something, the universe delivered in your emotions, and then you just rejected it. If you just continue, the same thing happens in relationships. You ask for love or happiness or what you want, and you see a text message, or you see something that he's done or she's done, and you ignore it. You just ignore until it's like bang in your face, because I think that's sort of what happened to me as well. So we do all those asking, and then we try to find the most joyful moments within our lives. So I kind of paint this like timeline for people, and I start to get them really relaxed and ask them, what is your most joyous moments? Like for example, in your most joyous moments in your career, there are certain things that come up, and there's certain things that don't come up at all. Like someone's like, oh, Sinead, I couldn't find anything in my career, and I'm like, well, wonder what that means. So if you're not finding joy in your career, it means something. So if I say, in the last few years, like pinpoint the most joyous moments with your family and your friends and your loved ones, like what are those joyous moments? And they're mostly got to do with like experiences, times where you had this vulnerability. They're not times where you're drinking in the pub. All right. So once you start to notice what these joyous moments are, and even if with your partner, if I ask what your most joyous times are, it's usually like when you stay up all night talking, or you play games and you're playful and you have an experiences. It's not sitting on your phone watching TV. Um, and all the things you're proud of in your skill or your career, whatever, all these things come up. And then it's more easier to go forward with what exactly that you want. Because in my career, the best moments for me are not the moments that I gain the money. They're the moments that I can give to charity without it really stinting my pocket. So I work towards that within my career. I work towards being able to give without it being like a dent in my pocket. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a part of this that goes to charity, so I can work towards those things. So like that's the first section. You sort of go through that and you try to find yourself, and we do a lot of asking questions. We bring in like guides and spirit guides and stuff like that, and try to get some answers. And if you don't get some answers, the main thing is that you've asked the question, and they will come to you in signs. And then the next section is visualization and manifestation. So visualizing it's all about it's about having fun. Like visualizing is so fun. And people can be like, oh Sinead, I can't visualize. And I'm like, have fun with it. Get rid of the limiting beliefs that like you can't have this life. It's in your head. This is your decision. Like no one's impacting you right now. So to get into that state of like visualizing what it is that you want, your higher self acting in her future self, like, you know, whether she gets the job or she's got an event and she's shaking hands with all her friends and everyone's congratulating her big party, like to really visualize those moments puts you in such a happy high vibration, and it also gets your brain ready to really start that journey. So you'll start to see signs, and once you've visualized and done all the stuff, you'll start to see signs. Like a good example for me is like, you know, I seen this house that I wanted in Bali, and I really wanted it. I was like, oh my god, I want it. It was so expensive. It wasn't expensive, but like you have to pay up front here. You can't like just do a mortgage. You have to pay up front. And I was like, I'm gonna manifest this house. So I manifested myself in this house, visualizing, and I really wrote down all the reasons why I wanted. I wanted for my space, for my creativity, for a safe place to feel secure. And then I was like, right, okay, I have no money. I have like £3,000 in my bank. I was like, okay. But then you just surrender to the universe, and then boom, idea. Like I'm literally like, and then you reject it or you accept it. So an idea for me, one of the ideas that came for me was writing a book about relationships, and it came when I was in the garage, and I'm never in the garage. Like who goes to the garage? I don't know why I was there. I was like locked down. I was like doing a workout in the garage. The radio was on. Who listens to the radio? I don't know. So it was just like all these people complaining about their partners and their friends and their family and their wives, anonymously on the radio, you know, in lockdown because it was really tough. And obviously I've read so many relationship books, and it's really something that I really enjoy. And I was like, I just need to really write down everything that I've learned and summarize everything and just put it into a book. And I could have just rejected that. You know, I could have been like, oh no, that's so much hard work. I'm not a writer, which by the way, I'm not a fucking writer. Like I haven't a clue. But I was like, no, I'm gonna do this. And then I was like, okay, let's do it. And then that is the money that got me the house, that got me enough money to really get the house. Not that I bought the house, but like because of the pandemic. But you know, those things there. So you're manifesting, and then that's what happens, whatever. And then the next section is self-belief, because you can't manifest or you can't get the life you unless you think you deserve it. And that's the problem. People can visualize and manifest all they like. But let's just say I say to you, I'm like, okay, say you want, I don't know how rich you are, but say you want £1,000,000. Like, do you think you deserve it?
Oh, you're asking. We were talking about this on our previous episode. Actually, we were saying a similar thing. Like, sit with that. Like, do you actually feel you deserve it? And when you actually think, oh,
yeah, like your subconscious mind's probably
like your conscious mind is like, yeah, of course. And your subconscious is like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, but you got to then do all the shadow work. So the end bit is like doing all the shadow work on this, and like, why do you not believe in yourself? And you have to go back to like your childhood. And you know, a big impact for me is my teachers. Like some of my teachers really put me down. Like I was a little scallywag, I was a little rascal, like, and you know, those words stuck with me. Those words really made me believe that I couldn't amount to things. So you have to sit with yourself and do the shadow work and be like, you know what, is that true, or is that just some random person's opinion? And it's some random person's opinion, like that they. And plus, when you're, especially in school, we get in school, and even with our parents and stuff, like, you know, we, especially where I live, you know, I told my mom I wanted to be this and this and this. She's like, oh, could you shut up? You need a backup plan. You need this, you need that. And it's just how we're conditioned. And I had to get rid of those conditions and like really start to like unlimit myself, become limitless, and be like, I can do anything I want. So getting past that is like the hardest bit in like manifesting and working for your dream life, because if you don't think you deserve it, then the universe not going to give it to you. So yeah, we go through self-belief and self-confidence. We do a lot of inner child stuff at the end, just to really uncover. It's not even that. It's like to uncover who the hell you are. And when you know who you are, it's so easy to go forward in life. It's so easy to take negativity, because negativity is going to come your way. Judgment is going to come your way. And if you know exactly who you are, your mission in life and what you're doing, you're able to go, no, I can stand up tall and say, this is what I'm doing because this is why. And then you've got your own evidence from your own meditations and your own subconscious. So yeah, that's pretty much the brave way. That's pretty much it.
Oh my god.
That was amazing. I feel like you just explained the stages of meditation and your course in such a beautiful way. Me and Grace are definitely going to go on and do your course. And I'm sure anyone listening is probably thinking, oh my gosh, I need to get involved. So we're definitely going to leave that in the show notes for anyone that does want to join that. But now you've just explained how meditation has really helped your own journey. I would love to know what other tools you used on your journey, especially in times where, like, say, when you were skin or when you were heartbroken and you were like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to step forward. What were the tools that you used? So obviously meditation was a big thing. And I know you have your thing of, is it Saigon? Is it Say Your Goals Out Loud?
Saigon.
Which I think is really interesting. So yeah, I'd love to hear like the different rituals that you use.
I think the biggest one is love of fate. Love of fate is basically like falling in love with your fate no matter what it is. And my best story for love of fate is it's basically like knowing that everything that's coming up and even what you consider to be bad is there for a reason. So a good example of love of fate is me being really skint, like literally not having any money to have, like I could barely feed myself, like it was ridiculous, but I got there and I got sorted. Like when your basic human needs are like threatened, you freaking understand that you got to get your food. So it's like, and it's like, see, whenever you get, like, I remember getting paid, I had $20 and I remember I did a modeling thing and he gave me $200 and it was like the happiest day of my life because I was like, oh my God. So meeting your human needs like that is so exciting. Like that meant more than getting like, you know, a lot more money on days. Do you know what I mean? Because your basic human needs are getting met there. But so yeah, so I was really skinned and I was like, "Ugh, you know what? I'm actually grand." Like I used to be really one of those people that really couldn't deal with not having like at least £1,000 in their bank account. You know, I would always have like that safety net. And when everything went, I was like, okay, it's not the worst thing in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like I've lived as long as I live day to day and being able to eat and have a roof over my head. Like I was like, things are okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. And we tend to like hold on to money and not take risks because we need that security. And so anyway, I went to the farm and like saved like $4,000, but really wanted to, like, I was like my creative drive, I wanted a business, I was ready to work for myself. So I was doing my first event, which was Sailing Singles. It was like a singles event. I was coming back from the man hating days and was like, boom, coming back from the farm. Yes, I've been gymming, I'm ready. I was like, I'm ready to start my own event. So I started my own event, and the event was like renting a boat, singles. It was like all single people, blah blah. Had needed a website, all this jazz, and it's like, oh, it's going to cost me $4,000. And I was like, that's all I have. And then I was like, fuck it. I've had nothing before. If I make no money, who gives a fuck? Who cares? Like, at least I give it a go. I can just go back to working in the bar. It's not a massive deal. And whilst before I would have been like, Sinead, no, wait for until you have another $4,000 and then do it. Like, make sure you have that 4,000 and then spend your 4,000. And I'm like, yeah, okay, right. And because I'd been skint before, I was like, oh, it's grand. I can eat tuna and cucumber for breakfast again. It's fine. So I was like, fuck it, paid the $4,000 and sure, I tripled my money. And I tripled my money and I haven't worked for anyone else since. So in fact, my fate of being skint at that time served such a purpose for me in my life because I probably wouldn't be where I am if I went there. So love of fate is just like reframing and making sure like everything is there for like a reason. So you know, yeah. So anything that happens to you, bad or good, you're like, okay, what is my fate? And I've just got to love it. So that's one tool. What's my other tools? Oh, human connection. Of course, human connection, because I think that was the main reason why I had anxiety in the first place, because I had felt no community. I was very hard. I was probably more addicted to my phone than anything. So I was probably addicted to the external validation at that point, you know. So I forgot to make human connections. So having that connection with other people, like I started to make an effort and like, you know, ask the questions that are really deep and meaningful to make these deep and meaningful friendships. And when you have a deep and meaningful friendship, that person will do anything for you. For example, you know, if you need picked up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you're at some boy's house, you know, you need that person to pick you up because you need to trust someone. And once you have someone who'll do stuff like that for you, you feel safe. And when you feel safe, you're less anxious. So I think having those human connections, I've been obsessed with like making human connections all over the world. Like I can't even deal now. I follow 5,000 people. It's too much now. It's too much. But we love it. So yeah, I think that's another tool. And then like we've got meditation, you've got reading, and I'm trying to think. What's your tools?
Journaling, meditation. Definitely like connection, like connecting with, you know, your friends that you can really trust and
Yeah,
like
definitely.
lean on. That's the most, I think it's, such an important thing.
Visualization, like obviously, as you mentioned there, in meditation.
Yeah, therapy, definitely.
Oh yeah, we're big ones for therapy as well. But yeah, I think definitely like holding a vision for your life, and like you said, believing you deserve it. Because like if you hadn't had a vision for your life that you want something bigger, then you probably wouldn't have taken that leap and thought, oh, I'm going to put down that £4,000. So I think that's a big thing for us as well. Like when times are a little bit hard, it's like, but I have this vision and I know that I want to get there, because it wouldn't be in my heart. Yeah, if it wasn't mine, it wouldn't be in my heart. So it's like holding that vision.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to be in your friendship.
Let's be friends.
Love to be your friend.
This.
What?
I said we wanted to be your friend for ages.
Oh, I thought you said we were sisters, and I was like, oh, are you? I was like,
no. I actually love that love of fate thing, and I think it like it just sounds so much like the, you know, that spiritual element of us all. Like not everyone's obviously in touch with that like spiritual side, and everyone's like in touch with it as well at like different levels. And I think just that deep trust that like, you know, everything is working out for you, even in those moments when like, you know, everything's going wrong and you're like, oh my God, and you're freaking out. That like higher trust in like, okay, no, it's going to be okay. Like honestly, that is like a huge thing as well that I lean on. And that love of fate thing just sounds like exactly like that. I just love that so much. But I'd love to hear some more about like spirituality for you and like what it means to you, and how like, you know, spiritual side has been part of your journey, and like with manifesting as well. Like obviously you spoke about so much with how you incorporate into your meditations. Your meditation course just sounds like the perfect like journey of self-development, like figuring out how you feel, what do you want, what's your purpose, then visualizing it, and then believing it's possible, and then like making it happen. Like it's like everything in one. But what specifically like on spirituality, like what's spirituality to you? Because I think everyone's got such a different relationship to it, and like it's always so beautiful to hear everyone's like individual connection to it and like how it works for them in their own life.
Okay, how spiritual are your listeners? Like how far do we want to go?
Oh, they're really
how far do we want to go?
No, go all the way.
They
absolutely
like
love it. Yeah,
angels, all that kind of jazz.
We've had really spiritual guests on. Like we've had a lot of crazy conversations. So don't hold back.
My spiritual, I go in and out of my spirituality a lot, depending on where I am. Like in Bali, you know, you're so in touch with your spirituality. When you're at home, you're so in touch with drinking pints. So it's like, it's just this balance that I don't know how to deal with sometimes. But I would say my spirituality just really began, you know, just when you're reading all those manifestation books. And I remember the first spiritual book I read, and it was Asking It Is Given, and it's Esther Hicks, and it's like the journey of Abraham Hicks. So basically, and they just so basically, this is one of my first books, and when you're reading one of your first books, it's a Bible. It is the fucking Bible to you. You're like, right. And I just went for it. I just did everything they told me to do. And I remember now I was at this point slicing meat for a living, like slicing actually in there with my rubber gloves, slicing meat at this Italian restaurant. So I remember like visualizing then, and they were like, visualize your dream life, blah, blah, blah. It will happen if you believe it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, right, okay. And I would be on the treadmill before work, and I'd be like, right, okay, close my eyes. And then I used to imagine myself behind a barbell with my protein outfit, like being an ambassador. Because I just loved that. I always watched like Siobhan and all, and I was like, that's what I wanted. Like that's what I wanted. Obviously it's changed. Everything has changed now, but you know, even just believing that one thing, I was like, I'll just give it a go. And there was so many things that I tried, and I was like, oh my God, everything just works if you just believe it. So I just had the proof in myself that basically if you change your own vibration and become a good person and keep your vibration high, you can have everything you want, and like you can create your own life. So it does not matter if people don't believe it, because I'm just like, oh, you're just missing out then. Sorry, you're just really missing out. Like I'm literally sitting in the visualization that I was having when I was slicing a piece of meat. You know what I mean? Like I'm living in my house with my partner, like having my best job. And at that point, when I was reading that book, I was slicing meat. So it's just believing. And for me, there's so many metaphors in the world that it doesn't, like, it basically is like, for me, manifesting, law of attraction, anything like that, anything spiritual, is if you are good, good happens to you. So all the bad and the bad low vibrations that you have, such as judgment, shame, guilt, which we all deal with, especially growing up, you know, Catholic and stuff like that. You've got Catholic guilt, you've got just, you know, shame, judgment, even judgment from my job or whatever I do. Like, these things are always coming up, and even the judgment that I place onto others because I'm conditioned. So all those things you have to uncover and shadow work, and the more you uncover and remove these vibrations, these negative vibrations, and like go to a higher frequency, the more you just attract. And it's so weird as well, because I feel like the person that needs nothing attracts everything as well. And like, that was the biggest realization for me. I just remember being in a hut in Thailand and just really being meditating and self-developing. I had like one book and I was just reading, and I was like, that's all I need. Like, this is really all I need, and it doesn't matter, everything else is a bonus. And from that moment on, like, everything just came to me, like all this random shit. I was like, okay. So like it turns, like, you know, so even the money mindset and stuff like that, like, I would always be like, oh no, I need to keep, and then I was like, it doesn't matter because I have everything I need. Like, I'd be like this to Jack, I'd be like giving tips here, there and everywhere, I'd be going to charities and blah blah blah, and Jack is like, you're not wise, give me that. And I'm like, dude, I don't need anything. I have everything that I need. And I was like, what? I was like, because Jack is like in this mindset. He's like, everything's dear, everything's expensive. He's like, oh, jeez, that's so expensive. Like, everything, like an apple or something. And I'm just like, it doesn't matter. I have everything I need. I have this weird, I don't know. So yeah, so I'd say like my spirituality has got to do with like law of attraction, and, you know, I am in touch with like spirit guides, and I ask for guidance. And I feel like I get all my guidance, but then, you know, people could say, oh, that's coming from you. You're like, you're saying it. I'm like, no, it's guidance.
Yeah.
It's universe. But yeah, I think like you just gotta roll it out. But then once you realize, I think when you do all the things to raise your vibration and all these things attract you, you're like, oh shit, it actually works. So if anyone's listening, it works. So start dealing with your vibration.
Yeah, I love that. I think as well, spirituality is still like a bit taboo, and I think some people like want to lean into it, but they're still like a bit apprehensive to talk about it, or even just say, I believe in the law of attraction, or I believe in manifesting. So I think hearing like success stories and just hearing that if you take a chance on it and if you want to believe, that's when you'll see results. And I also love that story as well of you saying when you're reading the book, because I had a really similar experience once when I was in the park reading my book, and I was like, I don't need anything else in the world. Yeah, I want other things. It'd be amazing to have other things. I deserve this life. But I actually don't need it. And I think like that act of gratitude is what makes you more magnetic.
Yeah, definitely.
What would your tip be? Because like obviously you've gone from where you're saying you were working in restaurants, slicing meats, and you're visualizing your dream life, and now you sat here and you're literally fully living it. So like for someone that's like kind of at the beginning of their manifesting journey, or they're just starting out and like they're visualizing their goals and like nothing seems to be coming in to like fruition yet. It's not in their physical reality yet. What advice or tips would you give them to like keep being patient with it and like keep believing if maybe they're like, oh, this isn't working, or this doesn't work for me, or whatever, like.
Yeah, so what I would say is, first of all, you're resisting, and resisting is kind of like blocking you. So like you're constantly thinking like, I want, like you're basically, if you manifest, like just say if you're visualizing and you're manifesting like your purpose, and then you're like, where is my purpose? Like, that's resisting, and that is blocking you. You need to be like, my purpose will come when it's ready, when I'm ready, you know. So I had to go through, I used to ask for my purpose. That was the first thing I asked for in manifest when I read my first like manifesting book. I asked for purpose. And then I went through the heartbreak, and then I went through all the stuff, and then I went through, just, you know what I mean? And like, I didn't know that my purpose was I needed to be heartbroken. Like, I needed to be heartbroken to get that down, to then be so passionate about giving people the tools to deal with when they're down, you know? So you have to be really patient. You have to be like, okay, I'm asking for it and it will be given, and that is it. So everything else you just have to surrender to, no matter what comes your way. You just got to surrender, or else you're just fighting it, basically. And the next thing I'll say is, everything that I have or anything that I have achieved in my life, nothing compares to the little things. I'm telling you now, when you're sitting there and you get a big lump of money, it's nothing. It's like it doesn't feel the same as laughing with your friends and connecting with your friends, and it doesn't feel the same. Like, I love just having my little me time, reading, meditating, and that's is what it's about. It's about your time and raising your vibration each day by doing all the things that make you happy and being grateful for what you have in your life. So trying to strive for all this, big money, big car, big house, like, doesn't matter. Even Kim Kardashian says, she was just like, I have everything. I just want the little
Yeah.
things. And that made so much
Yeah.
sense because, and then like Jim Carrey always says, like, I wish everyone could have everything to realize that it's not everything. Because, if money and if success or good looks made you happy, then those, that means rich people wouldn't kill themselves, or good looking people, but that happens all the time, every single day. So it's just realizing what you have. There's a great book, The Midnight Library. I love that one for just living in the now. And yeah, it's a really good book, isn't it? It's so cute.
Yeah,
It goes
it's
on a
really
bit too
lovely.
long for me. There could have been four. There was a lot of different chapters that I was like, okay, right now we get it now. But it was very nice to know that, if you're constantly thinking about something else and comparing your life to something else, then it will never come you'll never be happy. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. That like gratitude practice and like mindset is like so important. You seem like you're like just now like effortlessly like gratitude, like sometimes you've got to like train yourself to do it. Like it's like the neuroscience of your brain, like rewiring your brain to like look for all these good little things and appreciate them. Did you have to, like, back when you were like skin and stuff, were you like doing gratitude lists, or do you still do them now, like, or are you now like have done it so much that it's such like a habit that it's now like really part of your identity to like think in that way? So I think you can train yourself to think in that way, but
Yeah. No, I
what
definitely think like it's true. Like, I still do gratitude in my journal every single day.
Yeah.
But it's definitely ingrained in me now. So if something bad happens, I'm like, okay, where's the lesson? Like, there's always a lesson, or there's always something to be grateful for, and there always is something to be grateful for. So I do this every day still. It just makes me happy, and I like to, even like when in my meditations, I like to focus on like one thing that brings me gratitude, and then I like to sit with the feeling, because even sitting thinking about something that you're grateful for, like your partner or your child, or and sitting with that feeling, like, really raises your vibration. And there's so many things that we forget to be grateful for, and so you need to like rewire them. Like, even walking past, um like, you could be having a shitty day and you're just walking along the street. I'd be walking along the street and be going, that retail store, I'm so glad I don't work in retail anymore. I'm so grateful. Things like that. Like, you forget how far you've come in certain things. And even like, I'm at nighttime, I'm always like, really, I always say, thank you for keeping my grand and grand safe and well today. There's so many things to be grateful for if we just look out. And when I'm starting, like, say my friend, like friends or whatever, and they're like, okay, Sinead, I'm ready for you to talk to me and like help me. I'm like, okay, first thing you need to do is tell me 5 things you're grateful for every single day, but a different 5 things every single day. And every day they're like, and then they kind of come up with the same stuff, like their coffee, and then, like, they got to laugh or whatever. I'm like, no, 5 different things every single day. Like, I don't care. Like, it's 5 or no, you're not getting past. Like, you have to get 5. So then that trains them to look for the good in every single day rather than looking for the bad. So instead of like thinking about what went shit that day, you're always asking like what went well. Even little things like, I had a really nice sleep. The temperature of my room was really nice. Because it just trains your brain to always look for the good rather than the bad. So I always say 5 different things every single day. And then, you can use the same ones like every few months. Okay, I'll allow that.
I remember hearing you say that. I can't remember if you mentioned it on one of your podcasts or if it was just on your Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to start doing that. So then I changed my gratitude list to be like, no, you're not allowed to write what you wrote yesterday, because I heard you say that, and it makes you start to search deeper for all those little things, because otherwise you just are like, I'm grateful for my mum, I'm grateful for my coffee. Like, you just say the same things every day, whereas there is so many things, and like challenging yourself to think of different things is such a good tip. So it's so good that you like make your friends do that, because it just opens up your eyes to everything that's so good, like so much more. So yeah, I love that so much.
You've spoken quite openly in the past about like your relationships, and then obviously you speak about your heartbreak, and you also wrote your book as well on relationships. So I'd love to dive into like some of the things that really helped you within relationships. Like, what work did you do on yourself? Because I know it kind of comes a lot down to us, especially when we're struggling in relationships. It's kind of like, oh, maybe I need to look inwards. And I know you speak on your Instagram quite a lot about like attachment styles and everything like that, and I just find all that stuff so fascinating. So what were like the main things that really helped transform the way that you show up in relationships?
I think what changed my life was attachment styles as well, because I just thought, I was going through relationships and I was just using so many excuses like, oh, we're not in the same country, or we're not this, or you don't read, or you don't meditate, we can't be together. I was just keeping everyone at arm's length basically, because I wanted to stay away, because I was so heartbroken before. Like, I was in a really dark place after that heartbreak, to the point where, I didn't want to be on this earth. So I never wanted to be like that again. But at the same time, there is no better feeling than the vulnerability of being in love, and like literally looking into someone's eyes and lying in bed with them and be like, you could literally break me right now, but that feeling of like vulnerability is so special, and it's so good for spiritual growth to be that in love as well. It's so good, and it's just amazing. And I was really like guarding myself for that for years, because I'd went through that pain, and a lot of people that listen to this are probably the exact same. So learning that I was an avoidant slash anxious attachment style was just painful, to say the least, because I was like, oh, it's my fault. It's not anyone else's fault. So yeah, I was like, and then the thing about being an avoidant is, it is proven that they are the most unhappy in relationships, because they're always keeping them at arm's length with some sort of excuse, like, oh, I don't like his style, so no, I don't really like his style. Or, oh, he doesn't read, he doesn't, like, all these things that you say, and you just keep them away, like, oh no, this is just casual. That was my thing, like, no, it's just casual, I have to go away, like, I work away, this will never work, blah blah blah. But I was just stopping myself in this massive, like this part of life that I was going to miss out on, because I got hurt one time by like someone, and it's not a vibe. It's just not a vibe, guys. So I was like, right, oh my God, I'm an avoidant. I need to sort this shit out. Like, I want to be in love again. So then I went to therapy for being an avoidant, because I was like, no, I have to fall in love. And it just so happened that when I was in therapy for being an avoidant, there was Jack. So I think like it taught me a lot as well. Like, I was with someone before Jack, and then we were separated from the pandemic, and then that taught me a lot as well, because he was very secure whilst anyone that had an anxious attachment type for me, it was just like run. I couldn't deal with it. So yeah, understanding that I was an avoidant and that I had commitment issues because of my past was very hard pill to swallow. But I had to go through the therapy. I had to read all the books. I ended up doing, like, I did my relationship coach certificate and all. I was like, oh my God, I need to figure this out. So I found out that I was an avoidant, and then just got through it. And like, the ways to get through being an avoidant is, when you're with someone at the beginning, you're usually coming up all these icks, basically. You're like, oh my God, ick. Yeah. And you're trying to keep them away. When in fact, your brain is literally trying to protect you. So it brings up all these things, and it brings all these things up to heal. But in fact, we just run. So there were so many times. And when you come to a very vulnerable stage in your relationship, like when you keep going to the next step, as an avoidant, you just want to run. You want to think of an excuse, like, no, I can't. So I was in therapy, and they were like, lean in, like, just lean in. When you feel like you want to go away, just lean in. And I was like, wait, what? Okay. So just leaned in and leaned in. And then every time I leaned in and got past this emotional distance that I was putting there myself, it was like I just fell deeper and deeper in love. And I was like, because I was getting past and I was healing from all the things, like, even for example, let's just say like Jack went on a night out or something like that, like I would be like, oh no, like, you didn't text me back, oh my God, no, you're a dick, I wouldn't speak to you. Like, I'd be like, no, I don't need that in my life. But in fact, like, that's just me having emotional trigger from a past relationship, from being cheated on. In fact, Jack is just absolutely conked out in his bed. He's not doing anything wrong. So you gotta like understand these triggers and like come forward with them. And they come up all the time. Like, this is not gone. Like, I still feel that feeling, like even like moving in together was such a massive step, but I felt myself emotionally distancing like the week before we were doing it. I was like, but I knew it was my avoidant attachment style trying to protect me from being being more and more vulnerable. And I was like, lean in, it's okay, lean in. And then like this week, I like he literally like was like cleaning the house or something the other day, and I just looked at him and I was like, oh my god, fuck's sake, I'm more in love than I ever was because I lent in. So I think understanding that that is an attachment style, and if you keep keeping people at arm's length, you're the one that's going to be unhappy. Do you know what I mean? You're the one that's never going to feel this vulnerability of looking into someone's eyes and being in love. And I just highly recommend anyone who's got a bit of commitment issues just to really learn about it and deal with it. And when you know how to deal with it, it's easier. Like I can tell Jack, I'm feeling emotionally distanced because, you know, we're moving again, we're moving on, or we're taking another step. And he's a fucking security. He's just like, yeah, whatever, like let's chill. Like he knows what to do in those moments. So just being aware and being able to talk to someone, and not because if they're anxious, just be like, look, I just need a little bit of space right now. I'm just dealing with something. It's just my attachment style, and you can just really talk to them. So I think like the actual recognition of those attachment styles is definitely something that helped me, and without them I don't think I would be in love right now. I don't even think I would be with Jack, if I'm honest. Which is crazy, but yeah, like I think I would have just been like, no, you live in Ireland, you can. And then like I made it work because I was like, you know what, no, I need to stop saying that because you live here and your job's this. I was like, nobody is going to be able to deal with my job, so I need to make it work. Do you know what I mean? And like I did long distance, and you know the old me would be like, no, like we'll just, you know, do our own thing and go with people and we'll see if it happens. But I was like, no, we can make it work. And there was so much growth in that long distance. Like there was so much growth in me and in him and us together by doing something so hard. So yeah, no, you can do anything if you love someone, basically. I always tell people, they're like, oh, I want it. And I'm like, no, you can do both. You actually can.
Yeah.
Like long distance is not that crazy if you have the trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I love that you said like there's no better feeling than like that vulnerability of being so in love, like lying there and staring into someone's eyes is so worth all like the fear that you might have of, and like when your attachment style's coming up. And as well, just hearing like you speak today, like everything that you're saying, like, and I know that your business is called Brave, like you've got like the Brave Retreats, Brave Way, but like you can really hear throughout your whole story of your life, like that bravery and courage has been like such a big thing for you, like as in that it's always been that thing that's pushed you to like push through whatever was coming up, or that fear where most people would bottle it and be like, oh, you know, like, oh, I'm not going to spend that money on that event that changed the game for you, that meant that you could just start working for yourself, like, oh, I might lose it all, so I'm not going to do it. Like all these little moments where you could just run away, that like bravery and like courage in you is what like actually unlocked the door to like all the things in your life that you were visualizing and wanted. So yeah, I just wanted to like say that it's just amazing. Like, it just sounds like it's like such a theme of like bravery and courage throughout your whole story. But back on like relationships, you obviously mentioned attachment styles, and like we've spoke so much about the book Attached on our podcast. We like reference it all the time because it's such a good book. But what other books for like relationships? Obviously, you mentioned therapy, and like we're sponsored by BetterHelp as well, so we're like encouraging people to go to therapy all the time as well. But like, say like they financially can't commit to that yet, but what about like but they can like afford books? So what books would you recommend for like just somebody who needs to like learn more about themselves, and like so that we be able to step into the vulnerability of like experiencing love? What are the best books for that, or like podcasts or anything? Like what are the best people to listen to apart from obviously?
I think the mastery of love, because it's like the relationship with yourself, and you realize that like most of the things you're held back from are because of yourself when you read that book, and you have to really forgive yourself. So that was an amazing book, and that book gave me so much confidence. Like I literally could walk right up to boys and be like, let's go on a date, because I was like, fuck it, wasn't afraid of rejection anymore after that book. So that's a great book, The Mastery of Love. And the next book for relationships, like just a classic, Men Are From Mars. Like that's a classic. There's a few, like I think that's a little attachment side as well. I don't think it's separated man and woman, because when they were talking about the man, I was like, oh jeez, well, that's me. But I think like they're kind of talking about an anxious attachment, and like I don't know. So Men Are From Mars is very good, and Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. That's a very good relationship book. And then depends on like where you are in your relationship. I would say if you're struggling with your sex life within a relationship, there's a book called Mating in Captivity that talks about how to create desire in the domestic life. So that's really good. And okay, let me think. Oh god, I have so much heartbreak. I do so much heartbreak things. And then I think like just learning about human behavior in general and learning about the other person and like knowing your partner is very important. And then obviously the techniques like relationship reviews, like we do a relationship review every week, and people think that's crazy, but I'm like, it takes 10 minutes and it literally changes your life and can make everything so much easier. So yeah. And then you can just get your needs out, and it's like a time where you don't, because like usually if something annoys you or something happens, you hold it in and you're like, oh, and then it comes out when you're angry or it comes out when you're drunk. So if you have that space once a week to be like, okay, I need this. This is what I'm grateful for you this week. This is so we do like FANOS. So it's like feeling, affirmation, need, ownership, and struggle. So we just quickly rhyme off them, takes 10 minutes, and it can change everything. Like even this week, it was so important. Like we just did it quickly, and he was like, I need, because sometimes if you don't think of it, if you don't need anything, you don't really ask. So he was like, I think I need a little bit of me time to watch Lucifer. And I was like, I need me time. I'm so happy you said that. I was just like, because obviously he's here by himself. Like it's not by himself, but I know people. So I'm like, I don't want to leave Jack on his own. So hey, brother, bring him with me. Or like, I don't want to leave him because I'm like, oh, like, he's no friends yet. And then like, but I'm also like really struggling with like me not having my freedom at the point, because I'm used to being in Bali by myself. So it was hard for me to adjust. I was like, oh, what's going on? And then when he said that, I was like, oh my god, you need me time, I need me time. Okay, this is amazing. And like, can you imagine if we didn't have that weekly meeting? I would literally be stuck at his hip for a month and he'd be literally like, get away from me. So yeah, so like to do it weekly and just quickly go through what you need, like something maybe you need to say sorry for, something you're struggling with, and just like an affirmation of like, Jack really helped me with the podcast because it stresses me out. Like setting me, like he came in with all the stuff and like set me up at my friend's house, things like that are I'm so grateful for it, but like I don't get a chance to express it properly. So like when we have those meetings, I'm like, I'm really grateful for that and thank you so much. And then giving him the praise makes him do it again. So yeah, I would say that's probably the best thing for you. And yeah, just keep learning and love. Yeah. Like education and love is so important. People are like, oh, well, I have a relationship. Like, no, you need to keep educating yourself on love, because it's just, you can just make it your life so much better.
As Sinead just mentioned, therapy has been a huge part of her own journey, the same way it has been for me and Grace. That's why we are very, very proudly sponsored by BetterHelp, who are an online counselling service who can set you up with your own therapist in under 2 days.
Yes, BetterHelp sponsor Sinead's podcast as well as ours, because it is an amazing company that we are all so proud to endorse and direct you to. So wherever you're listening to this podcast right now, whatever country you're in, as long as you've got a Wi-Fi connection, you can access BetterHelp's therapy services. They have a huge range of online counselors that are all really, really highly qualified. So whatever it is that you're struggling with it at the minute, there's someone on that platform that can help you, and you just access it through their website or their app, however you want to communicate through therapy, whether that's video calls, phone calls, or if you don't feel comfortable using your voice in that way, you can just type instead. You can do emails, you can do messages, however you feel the most comfortable. They will match you up with a therapist that is perfectly aligned to what is your current issue, whether you're like depressed, anxious, you're grieving, whatever you're feeling you're struggling with right now. They'll match you with someone that is like an expert in that area, and they will work around you with how you want to communicate.
So as you just heard, there are so many incredible benefits to BetterHelp. And not only that, they are giving our listeners 10% off your first month of therapy. So as we said, it is already much more affordable than traditional offline counselling, but you can also apply that 10% off your first month. So it's going to go to around £160 per month, which is actually really, really good for therapy, because it can get very expensive, but we promise you it is totally worth it. So if you want to get that discount, you can head to the show notes or go to betterhelp.com/findingyourfeet. That is betterhelp.com/findingyourfeet to activate the discount and start your own therapy journey today.
Yeah, it'll work out around £40 per session. for therapy, which we are experienced therapy goers. We've paid lots of different prices, and that is a very, very good price for it. So if you've been feeling like the financial investment has been standing in your way of taking charge of your mental health and getting the support you need, then BetterHelp is the option for you. But that's all for now. Let's get back into the chat with Sinead.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I really feel like as well, like doing the inner work is so important, because I feel like the more you understand maybe your own triggers, the more you have compassion for somebody else's triggers.
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed that within my own relationship. And I think as well, I love how you shared about the review thing, because I definitely want to start doing that. And I've been like curious as to what people are actually doing these reviews. So I'm actually going to like listen to that back and definitely start doing that. But everything you shared in this episode has been so like beautifully put and like so practical, as you always do. Like, I feel like everyone was going to take so much away from it. But maybe just to like finish off, do you have like a best piece of life advice, or maybe something that you heard, or a quote where you just heard it and it just changed your life?
Yeah, so there's one. I'm trying to think if I got it on my phone there so I can. Oh, it's actually very long. Basically, I think one of my favorite quotes is literally like a simple Oprah quote that I learned. It was like, how can you get the best from the world if you're not giving the world your best? And it's basically just about, how can you expect everything? There's people always complain like, this happens to me and this happens to me. And if you sit back and be like, okay, what am I giving to the world? How am I giving? How am I giving service? What energy am I giving out to people? And then that can just change your day and change your life, and just worry about just giving your best.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Powerful quote. Thank you so much, Sinead, for chatting with us today. Like, it's been such an amazing conversation, and we're going to link like the meditation course and everything, the Instagram, your Instagram, in the show notes. I feel like everyone that listens is probably already that follows you and like knows everything about it, but we're going to link it all there so that everyone can start meditating and go on that beautiful journey you were describing. But we've loved chatting with you. We've wanted to like talk to you on the podcast for like a year, so this has been amazing to
manifested.
Do it. Yeah.
So
thank you so much for coming on. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I enjoyed that episode so much, and honestly I feel like there were so many tips that people can take away, especially with manifesting and just holding your vision and just knowing that you deserve to live a life that you want.
Yeah, like she inspired me so much. And I love that quote that she just ended on, like that Oprah quote, like, how can you expect the best from the world when you're not giving the world your best? She's got such an uplifting, positive outlook on life. It's like infectious. So hope you guys are feeling the high vibes from that chat. And if you want to get involved in Sinead's meditation course, me and Abby are about to start it, and we're going to be doing it together. And we're just so excited. But if you want to take part, if you want to sign up to the Brave Way, we have left the link in the show notes so that you can go on there and join Sinead's incredible meditation course. And we've also left her Instagram name down there as well if you want to go and follow her, but I'm sure most of you guys probably already do follow her.
Yeah, definitely go and get involved with Sinead. And if you were listening to this podcast and you thought, I need some direction, what do I really want to achieve for 2022? Then we have the perfect workshop for you. Our favorite New Year workshop is back, the Invest in Your Dreams workshop. We're going to be going through visualizations, affirmations, moonshots, goals, intentions, everything to help you get the best out of the year.
Yeah. So if you start the year and you're always like, new year, new me, setting goals, but then it comes to like March and you've forgotten what they all are, this is the workshop for you. We are going to be giving you all the productivity hacks, all the like real, like practical, actionable steps to actually make your goals a reality as well, because it's obviously very important to visualize, but it's also very important to get clear on how you're going to put one foot in front of the other and make these things happen. So if you want to make 2022 the year that you make yourself proud, if you want to join all the other amazing people that have already signed up, then book your spot for the workshop. It's on the 16th of January, which is a Sunday evening, 6 till 8 p.m. GMT. And it's just live on Zoom again. So we love doing them live because it's just amazing to just connect with you guys and like answer your questions sessions and share the high vibe energy. But we have 79 5-star reviews on our workshops. We've been doing them for over a year now. So if you want to join these other amazing attendees who have got 5-star experiences out the workshops, then come and book your spot. We've left the link in the show notes, but it's just on our website, findyourfeetpodcast.com, to secure your place.
Yeah, and we also spoke a lot in this episode about like connection and the importance of that. So if you're feeling a little bit lonely in your own journey, you will meet so many incredible people on these workshops. Like we like to get you mingling and really like connecting with the community. So that's a huge bonus. So if you're feeling a little bit lonely, then come along because we're always here.
Yeah, come and join the Find Your Feet community because they are an absolute vibe. Nicest people in the world. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this episode. If you loved it, let us know. Let Sinead know. Share it on your Instagram stories. Send it to a friend if you enjoyed it. Spread the word. Let's spread some positivity and good energy to everyone, and get the Find Your Feet message out there. But thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye.